Was there a moment in your life that made you suddenly decide you wanted to live off grid? Is this something that's always been inside you, or was it something that just happened?
So it was really out there back then to travel that young. And I went to Singapore, Australia, up the East Coast, Bali, and Thailand.
So now, how do you balance your lifestyle with work now?
Now I'm very, very aware. I'm a black belt in karate. I've meditated most of my life. So people that work with me say I'm F-core, I'm loving, I kick ass because I'm straight to the point. I don't let you get away with anything.
Welcome, I'm Tracy Irwin and I'm passionate about financial independence and wanted to share stories of inspiring entrepreneurs to prove it's possible for anyone to strive towards financial freedom. Today, I'm talking to Fiona. She's a channeler and a healing guide with a background in psychology. She helps people become who they really are, which rids them of trauma, conditioning, and unhelpful patterns so they can become happy and thrive. At the moment, she's just relocated to Crete in Greece with her dog Zell. So thank you, Fiona, for joining me. It's a pleasure to speak to you again.
Thank you. It's all the pleasure is mine.
So please tell us, how have you arrived in Crete?
I drove here from Portugal. I lived in Portugal for 10 years. My dream was to live off grid.
Yeah.
And for the last 5 years, I've done that in Crete and set up everything properly with solar panels and everything else. I could still run my business online and in person. And I think for me, Portugal's had its day, and a few things happened personally that made me just realise I didn't want to be there. So I packed a tiny little van, a Renault Kangoo van, and my dog. So I ended up only bringing about 10% of my stuff, which is amazing. Talk about downsizing.
Yep.
And drove here in 25 days, 5,000 kilometres.
Wow.
Yeah,
That must have been quite like an adventure on its own, just the
it
actual
really
journey.
was. Yeah, it was a great adventure on its own. And yeah, I realised I didn't really plan the actual journey that much. I made a mistake of leaving it to AI and then realised AI had done a crap job. So then I really had to start putting effort and time into doing it myself, which was brilliant, really, because then I picked where I stayed at night and I went to a lot of national parks. And so I had days where I was driving a lot and days where I was driving a little because then we were walking a lot in beautiful national parks. I went through 10 countries.
Wow, 10 countries. That I can
Yeah.
imagine actually on your way. That's really interesting. And
Yeah,
like, have you documented that? Like, that must be something that's like very
I have.
documented.
And it's on YouTube, and the channel is called Dog Van Adventures.
Okay, we'll definitely put that into
Yeah,
the description on YouTube because I think lots of people would love to
great.
see that. So there's just you and your dog on an adventure. Did
Absolutely.
yeah, do you plan on staying in Crete or is this a stopgap for you?
Yeah, I do plan on staying in Crete. But also I've got a business adventure that happened during the journey with a couple in Slovenia. So in March, I'm gonna meander slowly to Slovenia because it's 1,200 kilometers
Okay.
and arrive there towards, somewhere between mid-end of March. And yeah, just check out this business adventure, which is going to be an eco camp.
Oh
So
wow.
it will be an amazing experience. It will be a place for people to come and heal and be. They can just camp if they want and do whatever they like, eat meat, drink beer, whatever they want,
Yeah.
or they can immerse themselves into, healing and coaching and experiencing a completely different, sustainable way of life. Because I'll be growing food, I'll be, in plants and vegetables and trees and bushes. And so, yeah, plan to go really all out with this and it'll be fantastic.
So was there a moment in your life that made you suddenly decide you wanted to live off grid? Is this something that's always been inside you, or was it something that just happened?
I've always loved nature, always loved nature. And I could see that the world was going to shit, basically.
Yes, it is.
And when I was 18, I was a professional photographer.
Okay.
And I just qualified, and I was a documentary photographer, press journalist, and Fleet Street crashed. And the local market got flooded by professional photographers from London because I lived in and around Luton at the time.
Okay.
And I just thought, God, I have to do something different. I have to stand out. So I'd always wanted to go traveling. So I thought, great, I'll get my camera and I'll go traveling. Now, I'm of a certain age. You can see my hair. And I went on my own, 18, single woman, and I didn't meet anyone on their own that was 18. And I didn't meet anyone that was younger than about 22 traveling by themselves.
Okay.
And the only 18-year-olds I did meet were in Australia and they were in groups. So it was really out there back then to travel that young. And I went to Singapore, Australia, up the East Coast, Bali, and Thailand.
Wow, that you have had a travel bug for a very, very like for most of your life then really, haven't you?
Yeah, but what I wanted to see was natural ecosystems and experience the culture. Like I was a photographer, so I walked around what's called the Golden Triangle in Thailand, which is you start at Pai and you go to all the villages that border China.
Okay.
Um, Not all the villages, but we went to about 4 or 5 villages in I think it was 4 days, 3 nights, and a lot of walking. And it was just amazing to see how indigenous people live. They live very simply, mud hut, fire, that was it. No electricity, no gas, no nothing. And their water, they walked to the springs and mountains and that to get their water. And it was just brilliant for me.
Yeah.
They lived with their animals underneath them. They slept above. Okay, I couldn't deal with the smell, to be honest with you. But but the heat from the animals and their manure was what heated the house because it's very cold up in those regions at night. And it just started the wheels going. And then when I was 31, I sold my own house in England,
Yep.
bought this house. Parents were very pleased with me, finally settled down, finally doing what I was meant to be doing. Had a partner, had a business, had a contract, earning loads of money, and then just fractured my radius, which is here because I've still got the bump. And and I actually done that meditating. I was walking out in the snow meditating. And then when I come out of meditation, I saw this couple and they were so in love. And I was like, oh, they're really in love. And then wasn't paying attention to where I was going, slipped on ice, put my hand down to save me and just cracked it on a rock and
Ouch.
fainted because that's what I tend to do when I
Yeah.
crack bones. Because I've done it more often than once,
It's
unfortunately.
not it's not the only time you've done
Yeah, no, I've only done it about 5 times, but every time I've done it, I've fainted. And yeah, so I just had a lot of time at home because my hand was strapped up like this, and I couldn't walk. My balance was affected. Everything was affected for some reason. So I spent a lot of time meditation, and it was just as clear as day to me. That's it. You got to go. I was like, well, go where? Do what? You just got to go. And I was like, well, you got to give me more information than that. And I made a phone call to a friend to find out about how did she rent out her properties, because that was my plan. And then by the end of the phone call, I'd sold my house.
it. There's a sign if you ever needed one.
Yeah, I got off the phone. I was like, oh my God. So I phoned my brother expecting words of wisdom. And he was just like, I think that's great. I'm in work. Got to go now. Goodbye. And he put the phone down. He said a few other things, but I'm not sure he'd appreciate me telling the public that. So it was really brief though. I really expected him to be, yeah, words of wisdom, and he was just
Yeah.
like, yeah, go for it. Great, fantastic. See ya.
See you later.
Okay.
So,
So then I traveled the world for 2 years
okay.
and I went to all the ecosystems that I got guided to go to. So my plan in my heart was to find out who I really was, because my ability to read energy then was off the charts. Like really weird things were happening. Weird things for me were happening in my life.
Okay.
So I was massaging this woman, or this woman came in to see me. I'd massaged her before a couple of months ago, and she came in. She said, I can't lift up my arm. I think I've got a frozen shoulder. Will you have a look at it? So I put it on the couch, and suddenly my left foot really starts to hurt. Like really, really, really starts to hurt. And I'm like, and I was a semi-professional sportswoman at the time,
Okay.
and I was like, well, I haven't overtrained today. What's wrong? No, sorry, at the time I was training to get back to being a semi-professional sportswoman.
Okay.
So I said, I haven't really trained today, and I haven't been overtraining. So what's wrong? And then it occurred to me, it's not my pain, it's hers. So I paid attention to exactly where the pain was. And I said to her, can I have a look at your feet? And she's like, no, no, I've only got an hour. And I don't want you to even be an hour. I want to go back to work and I've got to eat and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, look, you trust me, right? That's why you're here. That's why you're lying on my couch. Look, if I don't fix you, I'll give you your money back and I'll see you again. And she was like, oh, all right then. So I take off her shoes and socks. I'm looking at her foot. I distract her and I manipulate one of her toes. I literally pull it out and put it back in because it was dislocated. And she looks at me and it's how Miss Larry. I'm like, can you get up and walk around for me now? And as she's walking around, look at me thinking, what are you up to? I said to her, do this. So she does it. And she's like, bloody hell, can I move my arm? Can I go back to work now? I was like, no. Like, I've now got to reset the muscles. That was just the energy. Now we've got to reset the muscles. And she's like, well, hurry up. And I'm like, look, I'm going to charge you the whole hour. She says, I don't care what you charge me. You fix my shoulder. Just get on with it. So she literally allows me to massage her for another 10 minutes and then, pays me while she's putting on her clothes and runs out of the room. I never saw her again. I hope to think that's because she was
She was
completely
fixed.
fixed rather than freaked out, but we never know. So I needed to find out, was this just madness or was there other people in the world like me that could see into the body? And because I started being able to see into the body then
Okay.
crystally clear. Like I'd studied anatomy at university. I'd done psychology and science psychology, you study anatomy and physiology. And I recognised the pictures because I'd already seen them in people's bodies. So I did meet people like me, but what I also did is I got guided to go to all the different ecosystems.
Yeah.
And I lived in the rainforest for 5 days. Um, well, I lived in the rainforest for a couple of months actually, but I lived deep in the rainforest on a science project for 5 days. And I just paid to be there. You know, I I wasn't qualified in their science, so they didn't let me do anything. Um, and I just used to go off wandering where I weren't allowed to, and I had a great time. It was fantastic.
For people listening to this, like they may be thinking, how has she done so much travel? Like, how do you live? So, like, kind of, do you want to say, like, just about how you actually be able to live, the money that comes in? Because a lot of people would love to travel and work at the same time. Absolutely love to. So, I just wondered if you could give an insight on how you manage to balance those two things together.
Well, when I was younger, my parents always argued about money.
Okay.
One of them always worked all day, and one of them always worked all night. And I was just like, I am buggered if I'm doing this. Like, where's their quality of life?
Yeah.
You know, and weekends were spent cleaning the house, sorting out us four kids, and maybe we'd get to go out at some point in the weekend as a family,
Okay.
and they done well for themselves, they slowly got out the council estate and built up. But I just didn't want to live like that. I didn't want to survive. I wanted to experience life. I was really curious. And I travelled on pittance. Like the first trip when I was 18, I worked in a petrol station on the motorway for 7.5 months to go travelling for 3 months.
Okay.
And I didn't drink alcohol because I was really into sport.
Yeah.
So I saved every single penny I earned, just a little bit got put away for different stuff. I had a boyfriend at the time, so that helped.
I love
Um,
it.
Back in the days when they used to pay for you. Um, and I purposely worked when it was expensive to go out and went out when it was cheap. I carried on, I just went out when I knew it was £1 a pint,
Yes.
which also meant that the soft drinks were cheap because I didn't drink, like I say, I didn't drink at those points, but everything, I went out on the cheap nights is my point. And I only went out maybe without my boyfriend once or twice a month, and I went out with the girls and, nights out with the girls, you know what they're like.
Yeah. Well,
So I
exactly.
just lived very, very cheaply. I didn't need much. I wasn't into shoes. I wasn't into clothes. I was into the outdoors, sport and photography. That was that.
Photography is an expensive hobby, though, to be fair. Well, you weren't even doing it as a hobby, you were doing it as a job, so even probably more so. But so now, how do you balance your lifestyle with work now? Like, how has that formed into what you do to be able to be where you want to be and be able to travel?
So about I don't even remember now, about 20 years ago, 18, 20 years ago, I started working as a coach because I was a psychologist. And then I burnt out and became a physical therapist. And I kept having this question in my head that, why are people with mental illnesses also physically sick? And why are people that are physically sick often also have mental illness? And this was a question that I had in my head, and no one could answer it. None of the psychologists I knew, none of the psychotherapists I knew, none of the doctors that I knew. I'd worked in hospitals, I'd worked in psychiatric units, I'd worked in the community. Even when I had my job as a physical therapist, I done the odd stint in the community as a therapist. And I couldn't find anyone to answer my question. So I wanted to find out the answer. And I like learning, and I couldn't find out the answer. And, you know, I was in Canada and I was at a jazz festival and I was sitting on the wall meditating, and I opened my eyes. There was this guy in front of me. Now, I'm very, very aware. I'm a black belt in karate. I've meditated most of my life. I was really surprised this guy was right in front of me and I hadn't noticed him.
Yeah.
So I opened my eyes and I was just like, and he didn't say, "How are you?" or anything like that. He said, "What do you think about life?" And I just looked at him and he was like, "Come on then." And I was like, and I just opened my mouth and all this stuff fell out of my mouth. And he was like, "Wow, would you write that down?" And I was like, "Yeah, probably in my journal tonight." He said, "If you write it down, I'll buy you breakfast." And I've always been one for free food. And I was like, "All right then," you know. And I got the pick where I wanted to go. So, of course, it was Eggs Benedict, which was a bloody fortune even back then. And so I showed him what I'd wrote down, and he said, "Can I have this?" I was like, "No, it's my journal." He said, "It's all right, I'll take a picture of it." And then I realised this is valuable. There's something in this. So I said to him, "No, it's mine."
Are you working harder than ever, but feeling like you're getting nowhere? You're not alone. Most business owners I speak to feel trapped in their own success, working 60 hours plus a week, missing family time, and honestly, they're not even sure why they feel so stuck. They just know something needs to change. If this sounds familiar, I've created a quick quiz to help you find out why you feel stuck in your business. It takes only 2 minutes and I give you clarity on exactly what's keeping you trapped and, more importantly, how to break free. The link's in the description, so why not take it now?
So we stayed friends for a little while, and this became a book. So then I got invited to America to talk about this book. And then my somebody that I was assisting in his training courses. Um, you know, he recommended me to a few more people, and then as soon as I met him, as soon as I'm not going to mention his name on purpose,
Yeah.
as soon as I took his course, I realised I knew just as much as him, and in some areas I knew more,
Yeah.
but I didn't know how to put it into a process
Okay.
because I was healing people my whole life. I just thought it was natural. I just thought everybody could do it. Like I didn't know that A, I was different, or B, this was something you could charge for. I was basically having conversations with God. And as far as I was concerned then, I'm still concerned, God, the intelligence of all that is, Buddha, nature, Mother Nature, whatever you want to call it, was
Yeah.
doing the work.
Yeah.
And then suddenly I realised I can make money out of this. And not only that, I can help a lot more people if I actually start telling people what I'm doing. Because I was already doing it, massaging, I just wasn't telling people.
Okay.
So then I made my own process and I started testing it out, and it was working on everything. Whether someone was depressed, stuck, had a back pain, you know, they wanted to split up with their boyfriend, whatever was going on, it was working. And people just started to notice in the courses that I was doing that I was really good at this. So they became my clients because I was cheaper than the teacher.
Okay.
And, you know, and and they wanted to work with a woman. They didn't want to work with a man who was older and stuff like that. And it just built up naturally. It cost me absolutely nothing to build it up. And I'd done it online straight away because I realised there wasn't enough people in my community that would pay to see me. So I just started online, and if people wanted to see me face to face, I charged them more.
Excellent. That's great
And
business advice.
yeah, and then that was that. And then suddenly it dawned to me, I can travel. I don't have to stay in England. I can go wherever I want. But I had another accident, and I hurt my back really badly.
Okay.
And the message then was, you know, you, you've got to sort yourself out. And I'm like, I'm trying. Give me some advice. Give me what's wrong with me. And I came out of this long meditation. I always meditated at night, but before I meditated, I turned off the computer. I turned off all the electricity apart from the fridge. And then as soon as I meditated, I got up, I brushed my teeth, and I went to bed. So I come out of this meditation, and the computer was on, and a light was on, and I was like, I've been doing this for years. So, this wasn't a mistake. This was something else. So this sentence was in my head: intentional community in Europe. I had no idea what an intentional community was. I mean, I'm dyslexic, but I put it into Google, and it came up with all these things, but there was one in Portugal, and in its title it had conscious evolution. And now
Okay.
that was something I was already looking into by Barbara Max Hubbard, because I'm a scientist at heart. So when a scientist meets spirituality, I'm there. I'm reading all their stuff. I'm there.
Yeah.
And so I was really curious, and I read through this website, and it was so good. I thought there must be something wrong with it. So I kept reading, and I'm like, you better go to bed. You've got an early client in the morning. So I went to bed. The next day, I opened the website, and I was trying to find something wrong with this community. So I ended up coming to Portugal. I went to Portugal and done an intensive retreat with them. And I ended up living in Portugal for 10 years.
Yeah. Nice.
But
You've
I couldn't
just
live in the
followed,
community.
yeah, you've just followed your instincts really, haven't you? And it's been what other
Yeah,
people. So when it comes to money, mindset, a lot of business owners, that's where they get stuck. Like, is there anything that they can do themselves that can actually help them to because awareness is the first point, isn't it? We've got to be aware.
absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
and I just wondered, from your area of expertise, which is why I wanted to talk to you, like
Hmm.
what can business owners do to make sure that they're aware when they self-sabotage? Because actually, what I find is when I'm working with people, I can give them the understanding and the knowledge of the numbers, but sometimes that's just not enough. Like sometimes I can see that they're doing things to self. I've done it, by the way. I'm not
Yeah,
perfect. I
yeah.
have self
Me too.
sabotaged quite a few times over the years. But I'm just wondering, like, have you got any I like hints or like advice that you can give people to be able to help them to be aware of when they're actually self sabotaging themselves?
Yeah. So a lot of people think awareness is to do with the brain. Sorry, something's just bit me. But it's totally not to do with the brain at all. It's to do with
Okay.
the unconscious mind.
Yeah.
Now, you can't think your way into the unconscious mind, just the same as you can't think your way out of a feeling. But you can think your way into a feeling. So let me explain this. So, to be aware of the unconscious mind, you have to find a way of getting in your body. Because I believe, and a lot of scientists believe this now, your unconscious mind is not up here, it's in here, it's in your body.
Okay.
And proof of that is that you can have certain therapy modalities and you can be touched in a certain place and suddenly you'll start to cry. Or you don't like being touched in certain places in certain ways because it reminds you of something that's happened in your life.
Oh,
Because your memories are suppressed in your body cells. Freud was the first person that said this.
okay.
And so you need to get into your body to get access to your unconscious mind. And that's where the beliefs and the behaviors are going to be stored that are trying to keep you safe, because that's the only job of the unconscious mind is to keep
Yeah.
you safe. So if you ground yourself and you get into your body, you can become really aware. But self-sabotaging is to do with protection, it's to keep yourself safe, like I said. Now that's always conditioned behavior. Your parents have taught you how to do that. And you've done it for so long that you think it's yours, but it's not. So um, I do have a free self-sabotaging course that people
Oh,
can
awesome.
take. And we can put that in the link, which talks about this. But I also have a book called Your Energy, Your Life, Your Freedom, a practical guide to stop being drained and start thriving, the real
Interesting.
energy method. And that's on sale, and that's only $2.99. And I'm gonna be running a free webinar about how to work with your energy.
Okay.
Because you are energy, you are consciousness that uses energy to create your life. Now, money is just an energy.
I believe that also, by the way. I purely
Yeah,
believe that money is an energy. I went to a course a couple of weeks ago and it was about your mindset, money mindset. And one of the things in there that we were doing was they told us to bring some money, like paper money. And one of the exercises was to think about like they made us believe we were going to burn it, by the way. So it was a thing
right.
of, do you rule money or does money rule you? That's the kind of concept they were saying. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't believe money does rule me. I believe I rule money. But I was still so angry about having to burn money. It was nothing to do, it was a waste, obviously, but it was more to do with the energy. And I'm like, if I burn money, that's such bad energy. I'd rather give it away. Like, that's good
Yeah.
energy to give it to somebody who needs it. But to burn it, and I'm sat there, my anger, that feeling of anger as I'm going in this line to try to be ready to burn my £20 note, I was like, I can't. I just don't want to. Like, I
Yeah.
energy comes to me, money comes to me. And anyway, they make you sit down and it's like, right now, how do you feel? And I was like, oh, like literally the anger that was there was, I was so shocked it was there because I was like, it's only 20 quid. But it was the whole energy thing. So yeah, I definitely believe that money is energy. And I've proved that to myself recently because I was not wanting to burn it at all, not through the waste either, just because it was of the feeling of the bad energy coming back to me.
Great. So I had a massive lesson um around money and energy. Is money, money is energy. So, God, I sound like I'm like an accident prone or something, but I'm not. For the amount of sports I've done and the amount of dangerous things I've done in my life, the few accidents I've had, it's been a miracle that I haven't been injured more. But I did have a total freak accident 2 years ago in 2023. I aquaplaned in my van and it flipped upside down. And lucky enough, my seatbelt held. And everybody that came said, "You should have died. You should have died." And I knew I should have died.
Yeah.
In fact, I actually thought I was dead. Like, I know it sounds silly now that you think you're dead, because if you think you're dead, you're probably not dead because you're still thinking. But anyway, I thought I was dead, and I thought I'd open my eyes. I told you it was a bit silly, and I'd see my dismembered body, and I'd be out my body, looking in on my body,
Mm,
like in pieces, because there was, I knew there was glass everywhere. And I opened my eyes, and I was like, "I'm alive! I'm alive!" I was so happy, I couldn't believe it. Getting out of the van was another story. That's when I got cut up, getting out
yeah.
of the van. But what I realized then was, when the euphoria went, depression set in
Okay.
because I wasn't able to move properly and I wasn't capable. And I was building a house at the time, and I'd spent nearly all of my life savings. You know, Here's a money tip: don't spend nearly all of your life savings on one thing. It's really not a good idea. And I was just living with all these things around me and no house.
Your business is successful, so why do you feel so miserable? Here's the thing, success doesn't always automatically equal freedom. I see profitable business owners every day who can't take a holiday, who can't switch off, and they feel completely overwhelmed by their own achievements. Sound familiar? Well, I've created a simple quiz that pinpoints exactly why you feel stuck in your business. It will give you the clarity you need to move from being trapped to being free. Why don't you take the quiz now? The link's in the description below.
And yeah, it was dreadful. But I went into a really dark, bad place. And in this dark, bad place, I knew that I couldn't advertise my services because I wasn't living what I'm preaching. So I was still doing great work. My clients were still really happy with what I was doing. But when those clients I already had run out, I hadn't done any advertising to get any new clients. And I was in such a bad energetic hole that no new clients come. So I hit rock bottom. I hit rock bottom. I had nothing.
How did you get out of that?
Well, a lot of meditation, a lot of inward looking around and seeing what was happening. And the first thing I realized was I was putting a lot of my attention on the wrong thing. Like before the accident, I was putting a lot of my attention on the wrong thing, which I'm not going to say that was what that was at the moment, but I was.
Yeah.
And um and I I dropped every single friend that didn't come and help me after the accident. I just dropped them out of my life. I just thought, right, if you can't come to me in my hour of need, I'm just not going to be there for you anymore.
Mm.
Because we are like the five people we hang out most with,
We really are. I totally
you
agree.
know. Yeah. So I then realized that it was very rare for me to ask for help and to be vulnerable around people. But I had to be vulnerable and I had to ask for help because I couldn't move. And it was really interesting seeing what that brought up in other people. So a lot of people were like, "But you're the most capable person we know." And they could not allow their head to recognize that I needed help. So they just disowned me. And then, other people were quite honestly way more pathetic than I was. And I was just like, I just had to have a really hard, long look at myself.
Okay.
And then I just started working for little or nothing. But in all this realization, I realized two things in this journey of 2 years. It took like 18 months before I got myself back on track properly. And then and then when I really got back on track, that's when I realized I wanted to leave Portugal. So I realized I was giving my power away a lot by spending time with people that what was I doing? Believing that other people had a hold over me when they didn't. So this is related to the first realization was that my dreams are really small. Like I know that I've traveled a lot and I've done a lot of things, I've done a lot of amazing, miraculous things, and I would have been quite happy to die on that day because I've really lived my life. But my dreams are small because I could travel because I knew I could travel on all or nothing. I knew that I could work my way through things and I could talk my way into things. But I built a house on someone else's land. It was a movable house. I'm not that stupid. But I built a house on somebody else's land because I didn't believe I could get my own land that I wanted. You
Okay.
know, I could buy land that I didn't want, but I couldn't buy land that I really wanted.
Okay.
And then I realized, Fiona, your dreams are just too small. You're limiting yourself by your own capacity to think more and bigger. And that hit me like a ton of bricks, to be honest with
I
you.
think it hits a lot of business owners like a ton of bricks when they
Yeah,
realize how small they keep themselves, because it's not about the abundance is everywhere, like money is
yeah,
everywhere, but business owners keep themselves small. And like
yeah,
once they realize that, that hits everyone like a ton of bricks, because it's
yeah,
like I'm the one that's making my bank balance not like grow. So, but
yeah.
yeah,
And then realizing that I was giving my power away to the lady who owned the land and letting her sometimes not treat me so well
okay,
because, I then built this house on her land and and then I just came to this I just came to the decision one day, you know, sorry, fuck it. That's it. I'm gonna sell up and I'm gonna go wherever the greater intelligence of it, what it is, guides me to go.
yeah,
And the other thing that happened after the accident is I opened up and I became a channel. I was channeling higher beings of consciousness.
okay,
So they told me to come to Crete.
okay,
So that was like, yeah, okay, give me free food and accommodation. I'll go, no worries. So it happened. I got free food and accommodation and I came to Crete for 9 days and realised, yep, I just had to be here. So I
okay.
went back to Portugal, decided to sell everything. And again, I needed another carrot. So I got a job basically running a community. And I had a deadline to get here because of the job. And yeah, Portugal ended up being a complete disaster. I got totally ripped off, but it was my fault because again, I was in a hurry. But what that all taught me was I was giving my power away, to something, to time, to beliefs, to, deadlines, to other people's agendas, rather than going, well, actually, what is it that I really want and what is it that I really need to do this in a way that supports me,
That's interesting.
rather than in a hurried way where I'm just giving power and energy away all the time.
So what's the next like couple of years for you then? If that's kind of the realization, like what are you going to do differently moving forward? And this I'm asking this so you can help other business owners, by the way. So
Yeah. So what I'm going to do for sure is I'm going to stay with my one-to-one clients,
yep,
but and I also will run like group workshops and group coaching, which I've done before. But then I'm going to get a cohort of people, like an inner circle, if you want to call it that,
yeah,
and I'm going to train them to do what I do, and they can specialize in any field that they want to specialize in. But they'll be like my inner circle, and I will take really good care of them and help them develop, some of the skills that I've got and develop some of their own skills more, and just be who they really truly are and run a business that they love.
so I feel like this might be one of those moments that's like things sometimes nothing's ever like a stupid question, but it may be, Fiona. But can you teach healing then? Like the feelings that you get from other people, can you teach that? Is that something we're born with? Is it something that you can learn? Like, how does that work?
So I believe we're all born with it, but
Okay.
it's dormant in us, and it's layered under trauma and beliefs
Okay.
and stress, because prolonged stress is trauma.
Yes.
Pete Levine has been saying that for decades. And I've taken one of his courses. Um, I might sound like a crackpot, but I'm a scientist,
No,
and
this is like honestly, this
I've
is
got
so
I've got
interesting to
qualifications
me.
coming out my arms.
You're an
You
eternal
know,
learner, aren't you? That's why.
yeah, because I'm also dyslexic, so when I learn something, I learn it slowly but thoroughly,
Okay.
and then at a certain point, I just run with it,
Yeah.
and then and then the instructors are like, you're a pain in the arse, you know more than I know. Because you can just get information, you can just channel it, and run with it. So yeah, anyone can be a healer,
Okay.
because we are all healers. But what I really will teach them to do is how to work with their own intuition, their own unconscious mind, and therefore other people's intuition, and therefore other people's unconscious mind. So one of the ladies I'm working with now, she's got a business, and she's great at her business, but her real passion is to be an artist.
Okay.
Now, her business uses a lot of artistry within it, for sure, for definite planning and structure, and an artistic flair. And I'm purposely not saying what her business is. And now she's going into being an artist. And she came to me because she had a phobia of driving. And this phobia started 30 years ago when she had a bad trip on acid.
Oh, wow.
And I made her realise that she wasn't scared of driving. She was scared of something else that was, and the mind solution was, oh, if I don't drive, that bad thing will never happen again.
Right. Okay.
And as soon as she got that, she was like, it took a while for her to really, like, she got it intellectually, but to change the unconscious beliefs. And I'd change it for her, and it would be changed. And then she would just recreate bits of it, or she'd be in avoidance or self-sabotaging, and then she'd come back to me, and I'd just be like, you're not driving, are you? Like, how do you know? Well, that's a stupid question. I read your energy. I know you're not driving, you know. Um, so maybe there is stupid questions. No, I'm only joking.
No.
So, um, but so that people say to me, well, if you can do all the things you can do, why do you work for people for 6 weeks or 6 months? And the answer to that question is because you self-sabotage, you recreate that energy, you recreate those beliefs unless you learn how not to.
Yeah, that's the
And that's
interesting bit, isn't
that's
it?
what I'm different. I work with the energy, I work with the mind, I work with the physical body, I work with your history, I work with all of you. Now, I quit being a psychologist because I'm not interested in, oh, what happened to you when you was 5 years old, rubbish, because it's in your body, it's now, it's affecting you now. And so we change it now. I pull the energy from the past. Sometimes I need your permission. I always have your permission, by the way, but sometimes I need your conscious input, and sometimes I don't.
Okay.
But I'm very, very ethical. So people that work with me say I'm ethical, I'm loving, I kick ass because I'm straight to the point. I don't let you get away with anything, but I have a lot of compassion. Because
Are
I've
you
had a lot
sure?
of trials and tribulations in my own life, and I know what it's like. But nearly dying, that was that was the best. That 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 was definitely a life-changing experience
I can
on every
imagine.
dimension.
All those things that you've just said, by the way, in the short time that I've known you, I can actually see every single one of those. So there you
Oh, thank you. On touch.
go. So this has been absolutely like inspiring for me. Like I've loved talking about this stuff, and it makes me think about my own limiting beliefs and things because I still have them. But yeah, so if anyone's interested in getting to know a little bit more about what you do and how you help, where can they find you, please?
So FionaMaguire.com.
Yeah.
So Fiona Fiona Maguire. I'm Irish. Maguire.com. And if they want to buy my book is on my website, and
Okay.
it's yeah, Fiona Maguire, the real energy method. But I'm going to make it more obvious on the website. And like I said, I'm also going to be doing a free webinar around working with your energy.
Yep.
And I've also got a free self-sabotaging course, which we can put in the
Yeah,
description,
we'll
can
definitely put
we?
all these in the
Yeah, because
description
I've
for
got to
you.
find it. I created it
'Cause,
quite a while ago now, so I have to
yeah,
find
I was just I
it.
didn't know. I feel like that was like I put that for you to actually sell, but I didn't know. It just
Yeah.
self-sabotage is something
But
that
it is
I
free
picked up.
anyway, so I'm not
Free
selling it.
domain.
It's
No, that's very
free.
true.
But
So,
the
but
book,
thank
the book's 2.99, but to learn how to work with energy for 2.99, that's like I'm giving it away.
it is. So, but thank you so much for your time, Fiona. I have really enjoyed our chat. I'm sure other people will
Thank you.
too. So yeah, I'll put all the details into the description, and yeah, if anybody's interested, please get a hold of Fiona, because I think she can literally work magic. So thanks again,
Thank you
Fiona.
so much. Thank you.
Thank you for watching to the end. I really appreciate it, and it shows that you are serious about moving your business forward. I want to share something with you. When I was little, I watched my mum skip meals so my brother and I could eat because she didn't have enough money to feed us all. That pain changed everything. I promised myself I would never need to rely on anyone else financially. I worked relentlessly towards financial independence. Even as a young parent of 19, I still worked. And once I achieved financial independence, I became passionate that everyone deserves the same. But here's what I've discovered. Successful business owners can feel financially trapped, just in a different way. And that's why I created the Money Metrics Academy to help you understand your essential business numbers in under an hour a week. No jargon, no overwhelm, just the clarity you need for true financial independence. Why not join the free entry-level membership and see how the community can help you? Let's get unstuck together.